Hello everyone, No Life here, and today we're going to go over an update as big as Leatherface here. So there is a lot to address here, but we're going to go straight into it here with the skill tree. So first and foremost here, they added a lot of things to this tree that I feel like they didn't even mention into the blog post, such as, for starters, they removed quite a few perks here. A lot of automations are going to be very upset to see that they lost no cell and grappler, so although Chu's fight is still on her tree, it's located on the right side of her tree, which I already, in my opinion, think is a little lackluster as it really just gives you stunt double. You can already get jump start from going to the middle, which is much better. It allows you to combo or comboed some things from the left side that are desirable. But geesh, I mean, with them giving weird perks like Overlook to Ana, I don't even know what their direction for Ana is. It seems like they're trying to push her into a direction where they want you to kind of hide and get objectives done with a mediocre 20 proficiency and then, have your toughness to bail you out when you get caught because it takes you so long to do anything. It definitely doesn't feel like they want you to be that annoying distraction that could just grapple everything and then, start taking hits if Leatherface shows up to do something about it. But besides, again, Anna losing out on No Cell Leland. He lost out on Saboteur. If I'm not mistaken, Bomb Squad as well. So this definitely sucks for you proficiency Lelands out there who enjoy being able to speed run the fuse boxes now. In addition to already being a fan member that's capable of just destroying Danny by tampering his tampered objectives, but now you also have Saboteur being just as useless too, as there's no delay on when he can rip stall anything perk or ability wise. So you might want to go back to just being bodyguard or distraction Leland's as proficiency Leland's definitely only going to get you but so far without bomb squad and Sabo on his build anymore. Now the other perks that they removed from people is like extra drip on Danny. Virginia now doesn't have fast hands. Uh, I don't know why, but they got rid of Agitator on Julie, yet it's still on Kami, who lost Taekwondo, just like who uses that on Kani anyway, besides some person who wants to bully with Kani, who is not the person you should be setting up to bully. It's just kind of a waste of a character. But they added some perks to everybody's tree, not just Sissy, Sunny, and Leland like they showed off. I'll get to Sunny a little later, but Sissy, she gets wireframe, which is shocking that they did, as I personally felt like that was a bad idea, as she can make use of the chase build a lot better with Hitchhiker, thanks to Scout and Fired Up already building our right side of her tree, but now wireframe, which is also over there. She just absolutely dominates in the basement now, in my opinion. But Hitchhiker definitely kind of got blue balled here with this update, as his Scout is located permanently on the left side of his tree, now that random nodes have been removed. Cook, he's just about the same. They put Serrato on his meta path in the middle, so you don't have to worry about that. But Leatherface, oof, they really did a lot to Leatherface here. He, in my opinion, still feels pretty good, as you can still combo Violent and Scout or Violent and Hysterical. So although you're not gonna be able to one shot high toughness victims anymore with his overhead, I still think he does just fine with damage. Especially seeing as, I mean, you can even combo Scout with Rough Cut now, so I don't think that's too bad at all. There is serrated in his tree, so if you really need to do some extra damage with big swings, which I believe you can still combo with Violent, that definitely rounds off his tree a little bit. And I say even encourage you to do more basic hits on him as well, so it's not such an end of the world if someone's spinning the heck out of you. You gotta rev down and just smack them. But getting on to the victims here, Danny gets Bomb Squad, which I believe is okay, only because Hands just craps on Danny so much now. He really kind of needs something to help make up for the fact that, again, um, his tampers aren't a guaranteed thing anymore. I believe that if you tamper something, all you have to do is bring back a key item and put it on. Once hands is installed, and it should still be tampered. But again, it requires a lot of planning and coordination to get things off of. And I've even shown this clip here. A team tried to pressure the Valve tank and force me to tamper because one more portal went off. And then they did the fuse box, but Hands is just a big mountain of a man, so there's nothing for him to just body block it. Now, unfortunately, when he is body blocking the basement door, he cannot barge. So I kind of hate the fact that they did that, as I don't feel like it's that harmful anyway. But again, it's just something for you to keep in mind. There's quite a few perks on a tree that are completely bugged and do not work, such as again slippery. It could be attained by Sissy in a tree, but you won't find it in her actual perk list, no matter where you look for it, other than endurance or all the perks. So that's something I don't know how that got past QA, as you'd think they would have tested how it worked in action. How do you test the perk in action if it's not in the perk tree list? So again, that's just very weird on them. Tracker tag is completely bugged and doesn't work on Sissy, which sucks because that's a perk that she definitely needed. As a lot of perks they added definitely filled a lot of holes in the trees that were missing. Um, but again, a lot of these perks they added to a lot of the famous, especially just stuff like insulated or a bunch of random blood harvesting perks, which I'll get to in a little bit. But the victims, especially the ones who have a lot of power creep, such as kind of getting overlooked, which is just old can of worms. As just the ability for her to be able to speed run with that on is just insane. Julie gets jump start. Now, her ability is bugged and it doesn't do the proper consumption, so I'm not sure how it interacts with her ability jumpstart, but that's something eventually I'm going to test out. I only really jumped around on Maria and Hands a little bit to get the feel of how their perks and stuff work. Like I can definitely say, for example, on Maria, one interaction you guys might be surprised by is that when she sweet talks a level 5 grandpa, it will show the family member whether they are moving or not. So that's actually kind of cool that they made sure something like that works. But geesh, there's just so many perks they added. It's just way too many to list. I am going to show off briefly, like Maria and Hans's new perks. I'll let you guys kind of read what they do on their own. And if there's anything noteworthy enough about them, I'll mention it, such as the concussive hits. I could have sworn I seen somebody get hit by Hans's the concussive hits and let their rocking to the side a little bit more. I never noticed that on Johnny so much, but besides that, the other perks he has, like the stuff where when he rips off so it can't be interacted with, that's a little useless. I mean, I guess it'll stop some of the situations like I have here on this video where I was able to kind of outplay Hands big time by again doing the same shit he did against me on Family House, where after he rip stalled the valve tanker, just went ahead and put on a second valve handle. So there's a little bit of counterplay to Hands. It just again it takes a lot of strategy planning and communication in some instances. As he, again, until they hopefully nerf his cooldown on the Ripstar, you have a very short window to get stuff done before he shows up, and again just shuts all of that down. Now, fortunately, they kind of I don't know what's wrong with them. They're a little afraid of some blood builds on characters such as Nancy not being able to do the ultimate blood build anymore. Now only Cook is capable of doing it. Um, they do have, like I say, fresh is best, one of the new perks to add to the game, which is basically just surgical, but reskin. I'll get into that a little later. You can combine that with Universal Donor on a Hitchhiker. I believe he's the only person that can do that combo. So there is some new, unique, interesting builds you can do based on the trees and how they're set up and whatnot. But again, there's like a lot of classic perk build combos and whatnot that have been really ruined by this tree. So there's definitely their pluses and minuses to them. And again, a lot of redundant and strange perks that, although aren't useless, are just strange to be added to certain characters that they don't really suit their playstyles. But if I didn't touch up on that enough, I'll do so in just a little bit. So Johnny gets a bunch of door breaking perks. Never mind Barge to the Point, which is only a support perk. It just helps others break doors as fast as him. He gets Battering Ram, which I made the mistake of trying to level up to see if it did anything, and it does not increase how fast he breaks doors. It's still much like Barge to the Point, where you interact with the door, and although they take two barges to break, it's all in one button press. He gets Master Key, which again, that's not totally useless, as he kind of takes Leatherface's Masterizer build, being able to injure a victim that was foolish enough to be behind the door when he does a second prompt to instantly barged in one hit instead of it being two taps. So you could do something with that build, but again, it's still strange that they gave him extra barge perks at all. There's just a lot of strange perks that they also gave characters. Um, Going over Sunny real quick, I can definitely confirm to anyone else worried they were smart with the way they placed some of his perks. No cells on the right side of his tree, which is already the bully side of his tree, so that's just gonna make bully Sunny's even stronger. But extra drip, as I expected. I honestly expected no cell to be on top of his tree, but I did expect extra to be combo with something, so that's at the top end of his tree, which allows you to combo with either a no cell or with fast hand. So you can get two of the three perks, but not all three at once. So Sunny's not going to be too much of an issue, but you still need to mind Sunny. As I had one game on Family House with Cook where he burned through that first lock on the front door so fast I didn't even get a chance to put a padlock up on it. And it took like 3 minutes just to get him down the well when we was outside, even with three people. But thankfully, my teammates weren't nearly as bad as his. As during all that time, they didn't even escape the basement. So you already know how that game ended. But getting back on the strange perks they gave people, they gave Ana Overlooked, which is a weird one for her to have, as it seems a little anti to her playstyle. But I guess if you want to play a bodyguard playstyle for, let's say, Connie, who now has it, it allows you both to move together without Ana being slowed down, or rather, Connie being slowed down by Ana. But again, the weird perks don't stop there. Like I said, they already gave Johnny extra door barging perks, but in addition to that, they gave Leatherface serrated, like I said, which is a little unnecessary. So he already basically has that perk. And there's just a whole redundancy list of perks they have, such as there are now two extra perks that give you blood for hitting victims, what additional blood I should say. Now, this perk seemed a little strange at first, that being fresh is best, which gives you extra blood, up to 80% extra blood, I should say. However, you have the penalty of collecting less blood from buckets. This perk on its own is basically just surgical, but with a negative. But when combined with surgical itself, this gives you almost twice the blood you normally would get from just hitting a victim. So as you can see here with Johnny, who has no problems confirming hits, just 3 hits on a victim gives him a full blood bucket to feed to Grandpa. You have other characters like Sissy, who gets Sip Sip Sip, which is originally was a unique perk on Nancy, and I've noticed it a while ago that they changed it to a harvesting perk. So I guess there's kind of writing on the walls as to whether they're going to do this update on the trees. So combined, not only does this make it so you do not nerf her blood harvesting ability, this is the same for Nancy, of course, where she had this perk combo, but also you get extra blood from just hitting victims. Combined with grabbing blood and hitting a victim you happen to run into, this definitely lets you feed Grandpa and again help pressure their victims to actually make a move instead of jumping down the well constantly when things get the slightest bit bad for them. This, of course, would then force them into bad mistakes, which will eventually get them killed. Now, I am very fascinated on this whole perk combo setup, so I will have a video later on this week where I'll show this off in its entirety. But moving on, Leatherface also gets easily tuckered out, which literally does nothing on him. I'm not sure why they did that. It feels almost like somebody here isn't paying attention to what the mechanics of Leatherface are or something, as there's no way they added that perk to him thinking it'll actually do something, at least with Fired Up, although Leatherface has infinite stamina when he's overheading, revving, or whatever you want to call it. This perk just does nothing for him. There's at least some theory crafting that it could be combined with Hysterical Strength to guarantee he still maintains that extra damage when he's low on stamina, but no, he can't combo Hysterical with easily tucking out. So, it's again, it's just really just baffling that they did this. Like Leatherface gets sip, 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 and he can't combo it with surgical, so it's just a redundant extra blood perk there. I'm guessing because depending on the way his tree routes, you might not be able to get surgical along with violent to help you get that faster. But I hate to say it, generally, if you're not killing people with your overheads, you should at least be converting them so you can down them as they're going down the wells and etc. So at least you're getting some sort of pressure with their heals or something going. So I just don't understand what the logic was with adding sip sip sip, as you shouldn't be hitting them, but not doing anything with your overheads enough to full up your blood bucket and etc. But I think that just about covers everything with the tree. I don't believe I missed out on anything of note with these trees here. I'm definitely hoping by next week we get some fixes to all these bugs, as they promised with one of their dev streams that one update is going to be dedicated mostly to content with some bug fixes. And they weren't kidding. They only fixed what Back for Blood with this update, which I can't confirm works. I have the way it works on both sides here, just so you can see. It both heals and reduces Grandpa's level by that little extra fragment. But like I said, next week I'm expecting to see at least one cosmetic pack. Maybe we'll get another execution pack with it. We'll see. Because Hands definitely needs some. I hate to say it. His two executions he has now are a little lackluster. I can definitely say he at the very least does have a quick close encounter kill. So while we're on that subject, I'll at least jump the Hands real quick for you to at least see his executions. And lastly, no, Hands cannot climb ladders. So while we're on the topic of bugs, since I just kind of recently touched up on bugs, they still have not fixed the lighting on the basement. They have confirmed that they are aware of it, but yeah, the dark basement areas, because there's no lighting by the doors, is definitely getting old. So I can't wait for that to be changed. But for the most part, this update has been relatively bug free. Besides, of course, all the growing pains, them switching up all these perk builds and etc. I can, however, say that some bugs that I've previously noticed, of course, have not been fixed. If you don't see them in the patch notes, usually they do not get fixed, such as Cook's fourth execution, still highlighting dead victims, as there seems to be some sort of issues with the way that execution kills people. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think it makes you drop all your items when you die either, so that's something they definitely might want to look into. I'll be sure to report that in the bug fixes, and hopefully sooner rather than later they get that squashed. Um, I can't really think of anything else on top of my head. There's still, of course, some stuck spots, but I guess we'll go ahead and look at Maria now. So, Maria, my initial impressions on her were not very good. She started to grow on me a little bit as I leveled her up, but I can definitely say, for starters, I'm not a fan of the fact that both her, Anna, and Virginia all share that same lobby idol animation, which just looks so awkward. So it makes me even more upset a third person has it. As I was already hoping they'd tweak it to make the stance look a little more natural. But not Virginia, I'm sorry, Anna and Maria both share the same attributes. I really don't like this at all. As I get their sister, so they can share the same toughness. That's fine. I don't mind there being another 35 toughness victim, but really believe that, like, the way Maria seems to be desired to be played, she needs some more endurance. As her 25 is not it. Sure, she gets no Southern Tree, despite the fact Anna doesn't. Looks like the big sister kind of stole it from her. She just needs something more. Like, something just feels like it's missing with her. I can also say that they were a little too safe with Maria, I guess, with Danny and Virginia to an extent, because she is another character that fell victim to perks being removed from her tree. She now lost not only fast hands, but her perks are set up in a way where I don't think she can combo any of her random perks anymore. So I feel bad for one of my friends that she just completely lost her build on Virginia. She has to work for something else now. But for the most part, a lot of victims still are just fine. I just feel like a good Maria, getting back to her, they definitely might need to consider buffing her in quite a few aspects, such as her sweet talk ability. Until you get to level 3, where you have the ability to get Grandpa to read the family for your team an additional time, you'll find that you're making a lot of trips back to Grandpa unless you keep his level to 0 or 1, or again, just sweet talking him once and getting one scream is not going to do it, as Grandpa will be screaming so constantly. You'll find that you're battling your cooldown, which, although it's relatively short, it's a little ineffective to constantly have to keep going back to Grandpa to keep talking to him to get him to not reveal the victims. Now, it is nice that the sweet talk does act as an overlook for the victims, as well as a radar detector, revealing the family and then keeping you hidden so you can still press your objective while you're screaming. Stuff like her level 3 abilities to highlight the family when they're next to Grandpa is a little useless, as generally the only time to go up to Grandpa is to feed him, and I can confirm that once he screams, he stops detecting the family when they're near him. So that should just be activated once when you sweet talking for the first time. As I don't even believe that's all that effective for you to know. Okay, sure, they're by Grandpa. Unless all three of them are there, it's still not anything that's I feel is game breaking enough for it to force you to constantly sweet talk them to get it to activate. Now there is also her ability to reduce Grandpa's level by 1 once you sweet talk him for the first time. Again, that needs to be buffed. Just having a level 3 ability that is useless after it's used one time is it's not optimal. Like, and I don't feel like anyone else's abilities have that kind of a impact. Like, sure, Connie's her cooldown is so low, you generally only have one good use out of it. You're probably going to escape after that with it, but I feel like again that could be dropped down to only reducing half of his level, so it could be every time you sweet talk him if we're afraid of that being a little too strong. As again, it's just too safe. Like even back for blood, I feel like the numbers on that are too safe. The healing numbers are way too low. I feel like that can be maybe 25%. I think 25% would be a decent number where it feels like it heals at least a decent chunk of your health. As that's generally at least a fourth to a fifth of your bar of health, depending on your toughness. Um, Again, back for blood can reduce it by again, I say 50% extra from you stabbing it, as you can't combo with agitator, so that's nothing to ever be scary. As Maria gets only back for blood, no agitator. Um, like just being able to again stab him for a level and a half, at least allow Maria to pressure Grandpa a bit more. So that's where my consensus of her is. She seems to be a counter to Grandpa. So you want Maria when, let's say, you have Sissy, Nancy, or maybe even Cook, as they typically are the ones that are going to be feeding them. If you're afraid of one or maybe two of them being on the team, or geez, maybe three for some reason they decided to do that combo, which probably isn't the best idea. It's not very DPS heavy. And Maria definitely be able to help keep Grandpa in check, but again, like I said before, her attributes, she gets chased by multiple family members. It's probably not going to end well for her if she doesn't have a well to go down. And from my perspective, from the games I play as and against Maria, I'll say that she definitely is more of a vein of Anna, where you want to use her as a distraction against stabbing Grandpa, sweet talking him, keeping him in check, and getting the family to chase you while there's pressure objectives. As I've had plenty of games where my teammates literally threw trying to chase Maria around the game to varied results. So don't you worry, people are definitely chasing Maria, especially after she stabs Grandpa, makes her presence though. So um, if you're desiring to play as Maria, I'll for the most part say that's what you want to do with her. Now, Maria also follows the trend with Virginia of having some unique perks on her tree that all hover around her ability. She does have some perks that are unique to her, but can easily be transferred over, such as the ability to heal yourself from stabbing chickens or Grandpa just screaming. So those are something that may make their way to other people's trees eventually, especially that chicken stabbing one. I don't see why that one doesn't transfer over. But a lot of these healing perks, they do very low numbers, but you can't combo two or three of them. So together, they definitely will help with you conserving healing items, as you can heal through these alternative means, such as again back for blood. Although it doesn't heal that much, it still does heal you from stabbing Grandpa. And as I said before, it's kind of Maria's role to keep Grandpa in check, so that's definitely not a bad idea here. I've listed some of the perks, the unique perks for hands and Maria all throughout the video. Like for example, I'm going to mention now that spray and cleaning perk is useless. That needs a change. It should be when Grandpa is level 0, gives you that stamina, not when he's asleep, as again, victims can wake him up at the beginning of the game where the family haven't even spawned yet. So I really don't think that it was such a good idea for them to add a perk like that to give. So they need to reconsider that. And I could definitely say the other perk, what is it, swinging for the fences or whatever? I think I'll show the perk on the screen there. That one is surprisingly useful, as you'll be surprised how many times you'll get aura reading off of that just from people around the map, just climbing over barricades and whatnot. So it could definitely work as a pretty good tracking perk and might even help you find a last man standing if they happen to go over a barricade that was left down somewhere for them to go over. Now, one thing I also want to mention is Hans gets that barrier breaker perk to allow him to break barricades in the beginning of his tree, so that's kind of almost mandatory on him. He always can get it, just like Maria gets tourniquet for some reason, which I feel like they did just because she has a bandage on her arm. And bomb squad, which really helps with the hit checkers that may try to trap Grandpa. Now, surprisingly, I don't think I've ran into a single one that tried to trap Grandpa for me, so that's good. I was definitely afraid of them doing that. No. Before I jump off of Maria, there is one little thing that I learned from my friend who ironically hates playing Maria, probably even more than I do. If you press your ability while you're not sweet talking Grandpa, it also highlights where he is. Now, she has a level 1 ability, which makes that duration longer, but the highlight duration is long enough as is, so it's really not necessary to even add that. Plus, I honestly didn't even notice a difference with it, so I wouldn't recommend it. Now, she has one for a cooldown reduction. It's not a bad idea to run that, especially seeing as you don't want to do the highlight duration for Grandpa anyway. So it's not a bad idea to put that on, but I definitely would recommend adding the version that increases how, well, I'm sorry, decreases how long it takes to sweet talk a victim as. I didn't notice it until I took it off, and it's definitely a big difference on how fast you can sweet talk Grandpa. So that definitely makes it very nice to sweet talk him, go about your way, or quickly stab him so you can get out of dodge. She also has abilities that make it so the delay in which your ability starts to cool down again is much shorter. So again, that's another option as well. And thankfully, they learned from Virginia, or rather, I say they keep doing what they've been doing with Virginia here, and they've made sure that everything is staggered on a tree. So you don't have to worry about ever having stacking abilities that actually don't stack. Speaking of stacking, boys, there are some issues going on with hands. So you definitely want to look up game-breaking hands, bugs, and etc. In fact, I'll link two videos I have to that in the description from Weezy and Alucard that shows off how ridiculous that bug with hands is. Now, I never witnessed it myself, but yeah, it's definitely something that just makes hands really just, I don't know, make Johnny look bad. So segueing smoothly, we're gonna go straight into hands. So I can already say hands right now is just ridiculous. They definitely are going to have to nerf him. I personally only believe he needs one nerf, and that's going to be to the cooldown of his ability. As with his level 2 ability that reduces the cooldown of it, he can rip stall like in 50 seconds, which just makes it very tough for you to get anything done with him around. As I've definitely run into a lot of good hands that just pressure the entire map. He is literally Leatherface 2.0, if not with a little bit of cooking him, as he definitely has a lot of area denial and lockdown going for him. Now, since we're already on the topic of what his skill tree is, I'll go ahead and segue straight into that. So again, he has two for cooldown, which again are staggered around his tree, so no stacking is necessary. He has one for his shock traps here, which increases how fast you can set those up, as well as a stamina reduction, well, two stamina reductions for his barge. Now, I'm not sure if they're even meant to stack at all, but personally using those, I don't really know as much of a cooldown reduction of them at all. It still takes almost all your stamina when you barge someone. And again, it's a game breaking bug as a result of you trying to stack those. But he also has one that increases his damage after he's rip stalled an objective. Now, this one is useless on its own, as you need Hans's damage to be increased by at least 15% in order for him to actually reduce the amount of times it takes to hit the victim. He also has one that increases the barge damage. Now, I've tried using both the barge and the perk that increases the damage of the barge, and so far, I have not noticed these fabled one-shot barges people are talking about. I feel like a lot of these people are just exaggerating one-shots as usual, or just catching out victims that already were hurt as they weren't aware of how hurt they were. As a lot of times where I've managed to down people with that barge again, it's been while they were chased somewhat All I really did was just finish them off, so I wouldn't quite call that a one shot. I mean, sure, you downed them in one hit yourself, but if multiple people help him do it, is it really a one shot? So, finally, he has the ability to add a shock trap after he's rip stalled an objective. Now, the one issue I have with this one is besides the fact it can only be, I'm sorry, an additional shock trap can only be installed once from this rip stall, so you can't have just potentially all objective rip stall by you shutting it off then rip stalling it every time you have it available. You can only, again, have the extra trap on one thing at a time. And I'm pretty sure it moves the trap to the newest thing you've rip stalled, but these things are marked by the electrical yellow effect on the items. Unfortunately, I think it only applies to the fuse box, but moving on, for those who are not sure what his ripstall does, it allows him to instantly reset an objective. So if someone kicks off the Jin here, like we have with Connie, you can immediately just go over and ripstall it, which again is just very clutch for stopping victims from getting out. It is a little inconsistent with the generator and battery, though, as I think I tried to mention before I segued. With the generator, I've noticed a lot of times I had a cooldown. I'm sorry, cooldown. The ability to add a shot trap when I rip stall. The generator doesn't instantly turn on. It still takes a little bit of time before it automatically turns on by itself after you rip stall. So that's definitely something of concern that I'm going to assume is a bug and needs to be fixed. I doubt that they made it so it turns it on quicker but not instantly. As again, when you do it to the fuse box and valve tanks, those instantly shut off in addition to you removing the item, which really limits how many times you can get out using those. So you have to be very strategic with when you do those objectives. Make sure your hand is super far away and cannot approach the objectives or what have you. Or again, you're going to force yourselves to only be able to get out by the battery and generator at some point in time. Now, hands can shock trap quite a few things in the game. Lamps and toolboxes being one of them, although I wouldn't really recommend doing that as it is a lot more effective for you to trap the fences and the, again, objectives themselves. As even though you cannot use your focus ability to lock down these areas, it definitely helps when you're patrolling those areas you've trapped yourself. So this allows you to, again, not have to worry about someone sneaking into an area as easy when you have to, again, pressure away a victim or what have you, as you have that bit of slowdown to help you out. Now, one thing I've definitely noticed as I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of this testing with hands with Alucard himself, who has made a return to this game. So you know they did something about this update, and even he came back after he kind of panned the game and moved on to other ASIMs. Hands and other family members are capable of setting off his traps. So you have a bit of a Nancy situation here where you have to make others well aware of where you put your traps at, as it is definitely a bit of a lengthy stun for both sides when you get hit by it, so you want to be careful for that. Now, they also made a bit of a shadow buff to Bomb Squad. Now it works on all the trap killers. So, in addition to you not even needing a bone scrap for Nancy anymore like it used to, again, you could use it with hands. Now, thankfully, much like Hitchhiker, it takes quite a long time to remove one of his traps, and I do not believe Bomb Squad makes it any quicker for Hands or Nancy. But again, with the three of them in one group, it definitely will eat up a lot of your Bomb Squad charges, so it's just more of a reason for you to make sure when you breach an objective or whatever, you're going to breach it in one shot, as you're going to be an issue, and now you're starting to burn a lot more resources. And I can already say the victim mains that are saying that they need to increase how many bones are in a bone scrap pile now, as all these trap killers, those things run out fast. But realistically, all this really does is mean that you might want to think twice about grappling fan members so willy-nilly, as, again, those are much more limited with all these killers that people are putting traps down now. Hands' electric traps are also very good at securing objectives when, again, you have someone like Connie showed up, as putting that up all by itself definitely prevents her from entirely running over and using her ability on the gate as long as you can beat her to it. So it's never a bad idea to go and put a trap up by that gate and then stop her from kicking the gin if you encounter her in time. As again, this shuts her down from doing that entirely. It's just about any situation when she tries to run to that gate, whether she tries to tank the trap or not, it usually won't end well for her. You even have situations where, as long as a victim doesn't have a bone scrap on them, you can body block the gate and set up your trap. And if you have another family member to hit them while you're doing it, this definitely can allow you to secure a kill, especially if they're not smart enough to simply take the electric trap damage and then go through the gate after when it's unlocked. So again, it works similar to a padlock in those instances with the gate, but it's not a padlock, so you still have to do your diligence with that. But moving on from his electric traps, he's going to his final ability, which is going to be his barge. Now, I had very negative opinions of the barge at first, but after I finally got the hang of it, I learned that it works best when you use it on a still victim. So someone interacting with something is definitely perfect for you to do it. Someone standing still hiding, again, perfect for you to do it. But if you're trying to use it a bit more aggressively, besides the fact I recommend you don't, even with all that barge damage stuff, which again is not as effective as you think, trust me. I find that facing them allows you to usually hit them a lot easier than trying to hit them from behind, as it has a bit of a slow animation to where it actually will be able to affect someone, so you have to keep that in mind. But in addition to that, I've heard that holding it down allows it to auto track them a bit better, but I've had numerous instances where I held it down and still missed them as they're getting up, and I try to stun lock them basically, show them how that feels. But you really want to do the barge when there's someone else around, kind of treating it like a Leatherface overhead, where you hit them, and then while they're stunned, either you or another family member goes in for the kill here. This works especially well with Leatherface and Johnny, the two, or should I say, three heavy hitters of the group, as they definitely are able to confirm quite a lot of kills, thanks to just how hard hitting they are. Each of them being capable of doing over 25 damage to a victim flat. So keep in mind, most victims hover around 100 health, with it gets up to around 138 with 50 toughness. So you do the math here, and you understand why Hands is capable of killing a victim 50 toughness with just 6 hits, and then upgrading his savagery up to around 47, which is his sweet spot, which allows him to then kill everybody in 4 to 5 hits, depending on whether they're 20 or 50 toughness. Now, if you can again pull off big swings, this allows him to be able to start killing victims with 50 toughness and 4 hits. Really, this just allows him to straight up kill everyone in 4 hits, as I do not believe it gets his break points enough to the point where he can, let's say, 3 tap Sunny, who has a measly 99 toughness. But Hands definitely is very versatile. There's already jokes going around with him being able to do literally everything but gap, and they're not exaggerating with that point here. As again, he can break the barricade. Now, it feels a little slow and clunky compared to Leatherface. Not so much the speed of him actually breaking it, it's just the fact that there's a long channeling time before he starts the animation. It's only a little slower than his animation, I'd say, but it's not nearly as long as his animation for breaking barricades used to be. So you can definitely get away with not having Leatherface in your group. For the most part now, Leatherface's main thing is, well, besides him breaking barricades faster than Hands, it's just really the fact that he can still pressure the map very well, and he does hit the hardest thanks to his overhead. Hands is just damage based on basic attacks alone. It's only 1 point of damage below Leatherface, so he still hits rather hard. And in comparison to Johnny and Cook, well, Nancy, if you get her savagery high enough, again, they are 4 points down at around 26 to their peak damage. So again, they all hit pretty hard, but again, Hands and Leatherface are pound for pound the heaviest hitting members of the family now. So I definitely would say it's not a bad idea to run a 3 heavy hitters in a group. You can maybe throw in Cook there, or even Nancy for some better tracking or in lockdown or whatever. But those three, although you could say they're glass cannons because how easy it is to get through the objectives with them, Hands, again, his traps work similar to padlocks, so it does force them to bring another item to open the gate. And again, if you want to combine Hands, Hitch, and Cook, which I anticipate being the medical group soon, just the ability for you to be able to put up to 3 things for them to put onto a gate to slow down victims, it makes it nearly impossible to penetrate an area where they need to basically run bomb squad and have 2 lock picks just to get through something. And with all that time it takes to get through all that, there's definitely an area you do not want them to get into, such as the cheese door gas station. Again, that's your go-to group there, I'd say. But I think for the most part, I just about touched up on everything. Hands does have some hidden passives, as again, there's a lot of things that they do in this game where they do not mention stuff like again Maria's sweet talking. Well, her being able to reveal Grandpa on his own, that's something people had to figure out on their own. Hands, I'm not sure what his movement speed is. I can definitely say he's scary with Scout on, but I can't tell if he's the same speed as Hitch, Bubba, and Johnny, or if he's Sissy and Nancy's speed, but he's definitely faster than Cook, that's for sure. Hands has the same stun resistance to doors like Bubba, so I would not recommend trying to stun Hands with a door unless you have Taekwondo, and that's you're probably not going to end up getting much distance from him anyway. Latching doors with him, however, is a good idea, as although he slightly breaks the doors faster than everyone else, taking 4 hits as opposed to two like Johnny, he does get battering ram with his tree. So if you really don't like the fact that it takes him still a rather lengthy amount of time to get through the doors, that is an option. Is on his right side of his tree. Um, I think that's about it for his passives, though. I do not believe there's anything else with hands that is hitting that I missed on there, but I could definitely say overall I'm very much happy with this update. Stephanie Panisello just knocked it out of the park. Maria, she just has some amazing voice lines, and they even brought back, I'd say, just about everybody to their lines. I'm still convinced that they did not bring Scout Taylor Compton back to voice Julie because she sounds a little strange. People even mentioned she and Cook sound a little AI. I did not believe I have a clip of Cook's lines to Hands. If they do, I'll show it off right about here because I just wanted to get show off some of her lines there, just so you guys get amazing how their performance for Maria is, and even again the very tearful reunions with the other friends when they see Maria is just definitely tear jerking.
What was that noise? Oh, please don't let it be that crazy ex-girl. Not again. What was that? Oh, please don't be Johnny. Or that thing. That worked.
Maria, stay with me.
Leland.
Protect you.
Oh, Leland, thank you.
But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video here. So I'm not going to do any video on Killer Clowns. They've been releasing quite a few updates, but they still haven't added that preference system. And as far as I could tell, it's still too easy for the survivors to escape in that game, all on its own and whatnot. But whenever I get the itch to play that game and properly get a vertigo, and I'll do an update video on that. But for now, I can definitely say there's another video I'm going to be doing for TCM this week. I plan on doing like 2 more videos, um, and that is going to be on this little bit of a leak that people were able to data mine from the game based on voice lines. So for those of you who know, I get a feeling you're probably able to guess what my next video is going to be. But until then, this has been No Life here, and if you haven't already, get a life.